I want to start this video with a disclaimer, which never really bodes well, does it? Anyway, I'm about to talk about something Mutant Chronicles, and I am 100% incapable of discussing Mutant Chronicles in an unbiased way. And I mean that in a good way, I think. I love Mutant Chronicles and everything that comes with it. I still summon my models from the last iteration of Warzone. I have a stack of Doom Trooper cards. I even own a copy of the god awful movie on DVD. I am, to put it bluntly, a massive slut for this franchise, and I will not apologize for that. My inability to be impartial now firmly established, let's talk about Mutant Chronicles Siege of the Citadel. Siege of the Citadel is a dungeon crawler board game set in the titular universe of Mutant Chronicles. Players take command of a two-man team of Doom Troopers sent from one of the 5 megacorporations that ruined Earth and then booked it off planet at first opportunity. So, nothing like today at all. You lead your team into the Citadel to fight off the Dark Legion, and possibly other players if you're feeling spicy. The original Siege of the Citadel came out in 1993 and was my first introduction to more, quote, adult board games. Then, a scant few decades later, Modifius Entertainment was given the license for a brief moment of time, and they brought us not only a new RPG, the first in their 2D20 system if I recall, but a new version of Siege as well, with a new coat of nice paint, some rules tweaks, and more to really bring the game into the 21st century. Siege has always had some interesting ideas behind it. Firstly, is that one player is supposed to control the hellish forces of the Dark Legion and actively try to fuck over their friends playing as the Megacorps. Another being that the game was designed around a pseudo campaign system, and players were supposed to rotate who controlled the Legion so that no one Megacorp could ever get too far ahead of the others. The second edition retains these traits, but also introduces a solo and co op mode if you only have one or two people to play with, or no friends. Missions are either chosen randomly, picked, or played in order if you're doing a campaign. The mission will lay out the map and primary objectives, as well as whatever event cards the Dark Legion player gets to use to just throw an almost never-ending wall of death at the Megacorp player. And trust me when I say that shit can get wild in an instant. My first time trying the solo rules, I managed to do a shit job of shuffling the deck and ended up with 2 Razids who are beefy fuckers standing in the one doorway I needed to get through to complete the mission. Suffice to say, I did not succeed, and all 4 of the Doom Troopers I was running got pulped, and the letters home to their families just read, "Are bad." That's one thing that could put players off the game. The difficulty curve can be tricky based on the draw of the cards. You may just be able to walk your way through easy enemies and bitch slap legionnaires while you skip through a twisted nightmare that is the Citadel. Other times you might open the wrong door and get intimately acquainted with an Ezogul's hooves. It can be a bit jarring when 2 bodybuilders from Satan's wet dreams show up and beat you into the tiles, but that randomness can also help games feel tense. You've been seeing lots of easy enemies. When is the big guy going to pop up? The core mechanics of the game are nice and simple, which makes it a pretty easy pitch to new players. Doom Troopers can move and fight with weapons and gear they purchase before the mission. Generally, the Megacorp players want to work together, try to finish the mission, and get XP so they can level up and buy better gear for later missions. The Dark Legion player spawns new targets as players enter new map tiles and open doors they probably shouldn't, and generally just does their best to be an asshole. You make attacks by rolling dice as indicated by the weapons equipped, using colored dice that have a blank or a hit on them. It's really pretty easy to grasp, but still manages to offer a surprising amount of depth between missions. One of the big changes in 2nd edition is the inclusion of character classes. Characters are now either ranged, melee, or tech, and depending on their class, they can take certain gear and do certain things. Tech characters, for example, can disable traps when opening doors. You can only take 2 Doom Troopers per Megacorp each mission, though, so choosing wisely can make all the difference. I took a tech on my first solo run, and she ended up being mostly dead weight because I couldn't get to the objective and make her useful, and she wasn't well armed enough to hold her own in a fight. Despite having 2 melee and a ranged alongside her, I ran two megacorps to really get a feel for things. Those aforementioned Razids just gave no fuck. Another change is the introduction of corporation traits. The different corporations now each have a little bonus thing exclusive to them. Capital, for example, gets extra money to outfit their guys. The Bauhaus Master Race, which sounds far worse now that I'm saying it out loud, gets to reroll ranged attacks. Mishima can reroll melee attacks. Each faction has something they do that helps them feel different. In the original, they all felt the same and were really only distinguished by their looks, so this is a nice touch. A few minor things were changed to bring the game more in line with modern design sensibilities, but if you ever played the original Siege, then most of this will feel very familiar to you. And that's not a bad thing, really. I could bitch about it just retreading what the original did in many ways, but that's sort of part of the charm and the point. This is a love letter to the original with a fancy chrome bumper, and I'm here for it. I really need to get some buddies together and play through a full campaign in this sometimes, and not just because I can use it as a gateway drug to the larger Mutant Chronicles world and make my shilling of Warzone Eternal in the future a little bit easier. Last thing I want to touch on here is the models themselves. The new miniatures are simply to die for. The originals had their charm and left a hell of an impression on young me, but these new ones look so good. The designs are solid while still recognizable to fans, but now with more than 3 poses and better details. And there are expansions which add new factions such as the Brotherhood and the Luna PD, as well as new characters for the existing factions. They look great for board game pieces, and the plastic they're made of is nice and durable. While Modiphius has since lost the license because the company that owns Mutant Chronicles is nothing if not hellbent on killing the franchise that made them, you can still find copies online for reasonable prices. If you like dungeon crawl type games but want a techno fantasy edge and the chance to blast horrible space monsters with a machine gun, then do yourself a favor and check out Siege of the Citadel. It's a good time, and I don't just say that as someone who will go into any back alley the franchise asks me to. Okay, almost any alley.